It is your man, Coach Action Jackson, and I'm here with another episode of Client Success Stories. I have my man, JJ, on the line. Now, JJ, he absolutely crushed the program. I know I say that on all of these, but he did. He lost 15 pounds. But here's the kicker. He lost about 8% body fat during this program. Crushed the body fat, just annihilated, a complete transformation. Guy went from literally having almost a spare tire to looking like he's got the six-pack coming through, muscles bulging everywhere. I mean, you look like a beast now. You look like you should be a professional wrestler. So, JJ, welcome to the program. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, I appreciate that. It was a good ride for sure. Still is. So my name is JJ. I live in Florida, just about an hour northeast of Orlando, and my day job is very sedentary. I'm an accountant and financial analyst, and I sit at a desk. Actually, now since the program, I stand at my desk, which is a change. I actually have a
Love that.
little treadmill desk going on, which is great. But yeah, before I was sitting 8 to 10, 12 hours a day. And just a typical 36-year-old, I'm now 37-year-old male. I was athletic when I was younger. I wrestled, I played hockey, got into college, and had kids, got married, had kids, and got in a career, and slowly realized that things are going in the wrong direction for my health. But that's it.
JJ, that's such a typical story where somebody like yourself, I meet people like you all the time, former athlete, high school, college kind of athlete, so very athletic when they were younger and always, usually in great shape. And it just kind of, whether it came naturally or you had to put in work, but it wasn't as hard. And then all of a sudden you get into your 30s, you get married, you get a career, you have responsibilities. And all of a sudden that whole, I'm just not going to drink Busch Lights and just hit the gym hard for 2 weeks, that doesn't work anymore. Right. And for you, what was that realization like? Where were you like before you joined the program, and kind of how did you come to that realization that I need to do something about this?
Yeah, there were a lot of things along the way. I mean, I'd love to say that it was a sudden realization that I was completely blind, and then I suddenly realized that my health was going out of whack and I'd put on a bunch of pounds. And it's not. It's a lot of it. It was a lot of denial. It was a lot of fear. I think for me personally, it was a lot of fear. When I realized that my health was going in the wrong direction, I was starting getting high blood pressure. I gained a bunch of weight. I was probably a good 30-40 pounds overweight, and any athletic activity was a struggle. I didn't like who I looked like when I saw myself in the mirror. I was, you have these feelings. I have a beautiful wife who takes care of herself, and I'm the one who let myself go. And you have these, you start realizing slowly over time that you got to do something. But then when I say fear is when, it was almost to a place where, am I healthy enough to work out anymore? I don't know that. Is this going to be something else that I fail at if I start and fail, which I did quite a few times. I started and went back. And but I think, my kids are now 7 and 4, and they're just at ages where they're starting to get into sports. And I coach my son's soccer team, and that, I think, wanting to be more active and athletic and do things for them. And they wanted to go to a water park for their birthday before I got into the program. And I was like, man, I'm going to be the guy at the water park that doesn't really want to take off his shirt, or at the beach. And I was very much so like that. And it held me back from a lot of my life. And I finally, said, I've got to do something. A couple high blood pressure readings too would really like the last straws. It was my family and the way I thought about myself. But then as soon as I realized health was involved, now I'm impacting my family a lot more than just the way I think about myself and the way I look in the mirror. So
yeah.
So about a funnel. That's
wow.
what happened. Yeah.
I really appreciate the vulnerability there. There's a lot to unpack. So when you say that you had denial, it's obviously denying that the problem is as bad as it was. But once you got the hard numbers, like the blood pressure readings, kind of hard to deny at that point. But when you say that you had fear, you mentioned fear of not even being able to assure that you were able to work out like you used to at that same high level. But was there other fear? Was it fear of changing who you were? Was it fear of success? Like, what do you mean specifically? I guess, can you elaborate on that fear portion?
I mean, yeah. The biggest fear for me was was fail. Getting to a place that I was gonna start it, realize that, or maybe not even realize, but just because I knew it was gonna be difficult. I've had plenty of times in my life where I've worked out, whether it was athletically for a team sport or right before we got married, actually about 12, 15 years ago, when my wife and I got married, I had gotten in great shape. Um, so I knew what went into it, and I just didn't know I had it anymore. I was like, there's with the kids and the job and everything going on in my life, I just didn't think that I had it in me to put in the effort that I knew needed uh, to take place. So I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to do it. And then I really felt like, particularly after some bad high blood pressure readings, I was like, am I even healthy? I was worried, am I going to have a heart attack? I haven't worked out in 12 years. I'm going to start working out and have a heart attack. This is maybe I shouldn't do that. So there was fear there. And then you just don't know what's on the other side when you start changing your lifestyle. What else is going to change? What else am I going to realize needs to change? So it was a big thing that I knew that I needed, more than just my own drive. I needed support, and I really needed to learn a lot. I
Yeah.
always considered myself someone who knew a lot about fitness, or I felt like I did because I played sports, but I really knew nothing. Like you get to that place where you realize that just because I was able to wrestle for 3 years in high school doesn't mean that I'm know a lot about getting your body in health and in shape. So that was a probably my most powerful realization, was that I needed some help. um, and yeah, I'm glad I did.
Love that. So you get the tonal. That's one big realization and one big step that you take. How long are you using the tonal before you end up, whether it's signing up or finding me and jumping on the phone?
Yeah, so tonal was great. So my wife had Peloton and her yoga, which I tried and didn't really stuck with too much. It was just never my thing. But lifting weights, oh God, this makes sense. So I got the tonal.
Yeah.
I got a bonus from work, and I was like, paid off my debts, and I'm gonna invest in myself here. So I got a tonal. And we had also moved to a location that was difficult for me to find a gym. We live out in the middle of nowhere, probably a half an hour to the closest city, and it just wasn't feasible to go to a gym. So tonal was it. I made a commitment and did the tonal. Tonal was great. I got it. I started using it. I did the one basic program, just to get back into it. Um, and then I hurt my lower back, not related to tonal, but this was more along the lines of the same reason why I was overweight and out of shape. Years of poor posture and sitting at a desk. Slowly, my back started bothering me, and then I was afraid to work out. So that put a pause on tonal for a couple months, and then some physical therapy and stretching, and I got back into it. I did one more tonal program, which was a basic program. I was still babying myself, and then um, got COVID. This was right at the start of COVID too, and then I just felt like then by that time, 6 months later, and I hadn't touched a tonal. You know,
My gosh.
I'd walk, maybe not 6 months, but I'd walk by it every day and just hang my head low. Um, it was, so it is. I've realized that just buying the tonal doesn't get you in shape, which is unfortunate. But
Yeah.
so you have to use it. So yeah, then I made a decision, and actually the Tonal Dads group was one that I joined when I bought the Tonal, and I saw a lot of people putting out there that they actually reached out directly to one of the coaches, and that kind of led me down the path.
Awesome. So we chat, we decide to work together. and we begin this complete transformation. Now, what was that like for you in the early stages? Because you mentioned, there's a lot of fear. You hadn't been working out as much. You're scared. Am I healthy enough? Is my back going to hold up? Can I manage this? What were those first few weeks like?
Yeah, I remember day one of the program. It was the weekend after my anniversary. And of course, what most people do when they're getting ready to start a workout program is they go full bore, eating everything in sight and drinking everything and having a good time, which I did, but it made day one that much harder. And I remember it was day one, and I had already committed to being your client and working with you, and I've had the chats. I consumed the information, and now it was time. Like, it was day one, and it was like 9 p.m. and I still hadn't worked out yet. And I was in my head doing gymnastics to think of a reason why. We'll just give it a go tomorrow. It's only working out 4 days a week, so if I go Tuesday, I was already full on an excuse. And I think I remember my wife said something to me, and I wish I remember exactly what it was, but she was basically just like, no, you got to do it. Let's, suck it up and get it done. So I did a workout at 9 p.m. and I just sat in the corner, almost feeling like I was going to throw up. But then on Tuesday morning, I woke up and I was like, okay, well, I did it last night and we're going to move forward. But that was the start of it. It was tough. It was really tough. I mean, even you think that, I'm out of shape, so I'm going to buy a tonal. And then that doesn't fix it. You actually have to use it. And then I'm going to reach out to a coach and he's going to help me out. And then it comes time to put in the work and you're like, oh, this is actually difficult and I'm out of my comfort zone. But I did day one and then made day two easier. I mean, the workouts were still tough, and transitioning to food, figuring out how to eat was still tough. But because I did it the day before, I couldn't let myself from the day before down. So, it just rolls on. And but that was it. It was tough. It was scary. It was difficult. The workouts were tough, and felt like I was going to vomit, and was nervous I was going to have a heart attack, and I didn't. And I'm, still here and that much better for it. And but yeah, it was tough. It was a big hump, and week two came, and it gets better, it gets more part of your routine, but still not difficult. And you're waiting for it to get easier. It does, you build onto it, but it's, you always, at least for me, I always felt like there will be just this click, this something that does it, and now I'm in shape, or now I'm on a new path. But you realize quickly it's not that simple. It's one foot in front of the other, one workout at a time. The next workout isn't going to come easier. And with tonal, they don't get easier, which is frustrating. They're constantly increasing your strength score, and your weights move on themselves. You don't even get to choose. But it
So tell me,
gets. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
at what part did it start to be like, yeah, it doesn't get easier, but you got stronger, where it wasn't as hard all of a sudden because you didn't
Yeah.
have to think about it as much, or you were able to push yourself to that level and you saw the progress, so it made you more excited? At what point did it go from this sucks, this is so hard, I'm kind of grueling through this, to whoa, I just did that, or look at these results? Like, when did that start to happen where you started to build a little bit of momentum?
Yeah. Well, this is an easier question for me. I mean, I think I did my first. Every day was easier for me to turn tonal on, to work out, to make a better decision, right? So
Yeah.
incrementally, it didn't feel like it at the time, but if I did the right thing for breakfast, it was easier for me to make the right decision for lunch. If I did the right thing for lunch, it was the right thing to do. And if I didn't make the right decision for dinner, then you get to a place where you almost feel bad that you let yourself down, so you make a better decision the next morning for breakfast. So each of these, they all add up. But I remember at, week 4, and I'm doing my next month, I'm doing my check-in on myself, new photos, new measurements,
Yep.
these main milestones that you push. And I was had killer results in just the first month, and it was such a motivation. I also remember about week 4, I I 100% had this epiphany that I looked forward to the workout. That I was, and what I liked about it was because every week for the first month were the same workouts and they built on each other. So every
Yep.
Monday was the same workout. I knew what was coming. And because of the analytics and tonal, you could see how you did compared to your last workout. And it was it was like gamification a little bit. You can compete against your last workout. And yeah, it was being able to see my progress was really motivational. And then being seeing my progress on tonal was motivational. Seeing my progress in the mirror and on with my measurements, well, that's what was the craziest one, was the measurements, where my weight didn't move as much as I had hoped, but measurements were, they couldn't lie. And seeing my gut kind of slowly depress, um, really by the end of month 1, I realized I saw results and I was starting to look forward to the workouts. And
Love
at
that.
that point, yeah, things started clicking for me right towards the end of month 1. And then you hit me with the difficult month 2 workouts, and I was, no, but it was, but that's about
Well,
it.
that's the thing is what most people think is going to be the answer to the prayers is like this idea of muscle confusion, or this idea of like just jumping around from one thing to the next. I'm going to do whatever. And we really have to build upon in almost like a linear stair step fashion. Phase 1 builds the foundation, and we build upon it into phase 2 and phase 3 and phase 4. We keep going this direction. And if you don't do that, that's when you plateau or you regress. So we have to kind of keep building upon things. It's called deliberate practice, or the principle of progressive overload. So that's why things build the way they do. But getting to that point is so critical and so crucial. And that's what very few people get to. You made a commitment to me. You invested in yourself. You invested time. You invested finances. You invested energy in those first few weeks. You made a commitment to your wife. So that's what held your feet to the fire in the early stages to kind of grind through. And there's this thing called activation energy, which is much harder in the beginning than it is later on. But since you invested and you made all these commitments, you were able to push through, and then you build momentum. And momentum is the real key to progress. A lot of people think they need to feel motivated to take action. The whole tagline, the whole basis of my company, Action Jackson Fitness, is you take action, then you feel motivated. Game changer for so many people because they think it's the other way around. You didn't feel motivated at first. You procrastinated until 9 p.m. You didn't want to do it. But once you started doing it and you just pushed through those first few weeks, then all of a sudden you felt motivated and you see the progress. And we measure progress in many ways. Most people just step on the scale. We don't do that. We take a smarter approach. We measure multiple things, take a whole look at the entire body and all your strength, everything, and say, where are we seeing the progress and the results? Oh, wow, waist is down. Wow, this photo looks way better. Your strength is up. Like, things are working. That helps get that flywheel going and build the momentum. And then we just build upon it. So that's awesome.
You talk about how the motivation part of it. I would have considered myself at the time so unbelievably motivated before I started this journey. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I felt. I hated how tired I was all the time. I hated that
Yeah.
and I wanted to change so badly. I wanted more than anything to get, and if you would ask me, you know, how motivated are you right now to change yourself, to do 100% in whatever needs to be done, I'll do it. And then I didn't. And then I didn't again. And then, 15 years go by. And I mean, I was this level of motivation and this hard on myself for 10, 12 years before I actually did something. And during those 12 years, I got progressively further away from the baseline. But um, it's an interesting thing with motivation, how you can be so motivated to change yourself and still do nothing about it. And I don't know at what point, for everyone's individual, at what point you move from motivated but in fear, so you do nothing, and motivated and do, create an action. But I'm glad I got there, and it's a difficult thing, and I still deal with it every day, and I'm sure you do, and I think lots of people that are part of your program do. Um, but one work at a time.
Yeah, let's stay there for just a second because I think this is important. I love what you just said there. So I feel so motivated. I hate where I'm at. I want to change so badly, but I don't do anything. And then, right, because there's so many people that struggle with that same concept. What do you think it was? And the other thing is, most people think you're special, I'm special, that we don't feel that. We do. We just get good at kind of either ignoring it or taking action and moving forward anyway. And we built that momentum, as we talked about. What do you think was the difference maker that made you take action in those stages? Like, what was the thing that took you from feeling motivated to want to change to not doing anything to now I'm committed and I'm going to do it? Was it just investing the money? Was it working with me, the accountability? Was it your wife? Like, what do you think it was that did it?
I think it was all, I mean, all of the above for sure. If you add enough of motivating factors to a point where there's no turning around, there is a financial commitment, there is a time commitment, and it's with you and your time, with Tonal, with you say these things out loud and you don't, your wife hears you, I'm going to do this, and then you don't want to let her down. And
Yeah.
there's the health that came out of it. I said I had some high blood pressure readings. My dislike for myself in the mirror, and now my kids are old. So tons of little things, and they add up until they boil over.
Yeah.
But I think there was two main things that actually, this is it, I'm in full. One was on the Facebook group, the Tonal Dads Facebook group, there were people that had posted that they worked with you. And I thought that was so interesting that there was a coach that I could work with that not only was had killer results, but also was on Tonal. And I just said, I've invested in the Tonal, for one, and he's aware of that and is ingrained in the Tonal and can take advantage of all the things that the Tonal has to offer. That was huge. And two was, there was a particular client of yours that I posted some before and after. And I actually engaged with him directly on, I DM'd him directly that I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts? He had nothing but amazing things to say. And, it was a real person that I spoke to that had these results that I was looking for. And it really made it seem attainable. So, those two things, the Tonal Dads group, and then seeing this, having a conversation with somebody who had been there. And then I reached out to you, and it was great correspondence from the get-go, and it made me feel like something I can do. This might be the answer. This might be it. And I have someone who's going to hold me accountable besides myself.
Yeah. I think there's something really cool and real about meeting somebody that has the result that you want and realizing that they're just like you, or they're just a regular person. There's nothing inherently special. They're not ordained by God. They're not genetically some freak. Like, wow, this is a regular person and they have the result that I want. Now, there's two ways to go about that. One is say, well, just because they have it, they might have some advantage, right? To try to chalk it up to some advantage. The other way is to say, if they have it, I can get it too, and to get excited about it, right? You can go one of two directions there. And you got excited about somebody else who had the result. When I was trying to build my online business and I was trying to become a success and help people just like you and do literally what I'm doing right now, there was this gap before I earned the credibility, before I got the results for people. And I'd be sitting in these mastermind groups or meeting these, other coaches and trainers that I had kind of idolized because they were doing so well and they were making six figures and living their dreams. And I would put them on this pedestal, and then I would get in a room with them. I'd pay like, $1,000 for some one day event, and I'd get in a room with them and I'd meet them and I'd be like, what is the secret? What's so special about this guy? And I'd be like, it's just a regular person. All he's doing is just doing it. He's just doing the thing that I want. He's taking action. He's moving things forward. He's just doing it. And to realize that, cost me a lot of money to realize that, but all of a sudden realizing that they're just a regular person just like me and I could do the exact same thing. Wow, that hit me like a ton of bricks. And then it was like, I have no excuses. I can do this too. And now here I am. Right. I mean, there's obviously there's a gap there. There's a journey there, but having that realization allows you to take that one step forward, that leap of faith. And then that leads to the second and the third and the fourth. So I love that you got a bunch of things that kind of put your back up against the wall to say, I got to move forward from here. I invested in myself. I told Jackson I'm doing it. I told my wife I'm doing it. I met this guy. He's just like me. He got the results. He's no different. And I'm sick of being where I'm at. Now you have all these levers against yourself. Now that's real leverage, because now you have so many things. You got these blood pressure readings. Now I have to move forward. I have no other choice. I love that. I love that.
Who are you gonna be? Everyone, you get to a place where you're gonna have to answer the question. That place is different for everyone, but who you have a decision to make at that point, and who are you gonna be? What type of person do you want to be?
What type of person you want to be? You just said it right there. The type of person you are, my friend. The results you've gotten are fantastic. They're incredible. And they speak to the type of person you are. You're somebody that follows through. You're somebody that works hard. You're somebody that has the ability to push themselves outside their comfort zone time and time again. And you've done it. And I'm just so impressed by you and I'm so proud. So I'll just reiterate the results. 15 pounds down, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 7% body fat down. I mean, incredible before and afters. And I mean it. You do, like, especially with the beard and like the bald head, you look like a wrestler, or you look like like you should be on the WWE or something, man, or like in some superhero movie, because you're jacked. Like, you were the perfect specimen because you had a background in athletics, which gave you the ability to put on a lot of muscle and size really rapidly. So as you lost all that body fat, you were just adding muscle like crazy. What we got was this body transformation or body recomposition. And that's why the scale didn't move a ton, only 15 pounds, but the body fat was just like night and day difference. So incredible transformation, incredible changes. You build the momentum as you're going through the program, you're seeing the results, things are getting a little bit easier because you got the momentum. What's it like as you're moving into phase 4 and beyond? Because we did a little bit after that as well. Like, what was that like when you started to really run with the wind at your back, and kind of where you're at now?
It was great. I mean, this whole different view on things took place for me, and I say this to my wife and some friends. I'm like, I'm suddenly someone who works out, and I work out every day, and it's part of me, and it's part of my, if I don't work out, I feel guilty. It eats away at me. We'll even go on vacation now, and in my head, I'm like, all right, well, how can I fit in a quick one? And it's not like, oh, I need to fit in some time. It's how can I? It's something that I look forward to. So that, above all, the physical aspect of what I gained from the program, more than anything, is the biggest benefit for me, because changing my mindset from someone who was afraid to work out to someone who is just part of my nature. I wake up every morning and I work out. That's what I do. It's part of who I am. And I still see benefits, as I went through towards, phase 4 and phase 5, you still see gains. You realize that now I'm at a unique place. Like, all the biggest obstacles I had are now knocked over, but there's a lot more places for me to go, and it gets fun. It gets exciting. I went to a water park on my birthday, and I had my shirt off the whole time, which 6 months ago I would have never dreamed of. Like I said, I coach my kids' soccer team, and I'm running the entire practice, which could have never done before. I was on the floor wrestling with my kids at his wrestling camp, and never would have happened. So it's really opened up a whole the type of life I wanted, and I love the person I am now. There's endless work to do, right? Am I perfect on diet? No. do I have my days and weekends and when I have family and I'm, am I still, you know, counting every ounce and calorie? Not every day, no. But overall, big picture, I'm moving in the right direction, and it's a part of me, and that's where I am today, and that's the best place I've been in 20, 30 years. And the last thing I'll say here is, you mentioned that as I was going through the program, my composition was changing and the scale wasn't moving. And that was a big thing for me. I remember feeling like, I wasn't working, the scale wasn't moving, or what actually happened with me is I dropped 10 pounds in the first month and then pretty much got static for the next few months. And it was difficult for me to feel like, well, is it working? Maybe I'm not doing something right. Or I would beat myself up so badly. I think you and I had conversations where you were just like, you're doing fine. You need to take a few step backs and really look at what you're doing. I'm proud of what you're telling me right now. And I'd be so hard on myself for missing the weekend or, eating that one meal that I shouldn't, or going over on my calories. But taking my measurements and the before and after pictures, doing that stuff consistently was the motivation. Like, I'm not losing weight, but I I had to buy new buttons for my pants, and that's a real thing. Also seeing my wife perk up a little bit when I would put on a tighter shirt or something like that. I mean, it's kind of silly to say, but those things really take place, and nothing more motivating than something like that.
JJ, wow, man, you just made my week. That was an incredible rant. I'm going to
Yeah.
listen to that over and over and over again. Anytime I get sad, I'm going to just listen to that. Oh
Wow,
my
man.
gosh,
I can talk.
incredible.
The one thing I can definitely talk. That hasn't changed.
I love it. That it's just so exciting. It's so motivating for me. It makes me feel so great. I mean, this is why I get up in the morning, is to help people like you and to hear that transformation, that difference, because I'm you like 20 years ago when I first got into working out. And I know what fitness did for me, and to now be able to guide you through this and see what a difference it's made in your life, going from where you were at, where you had back pain, you had fear, you were scared, you were lacking confidence, to now you're going to water parks, you're taking your shirt off, you're running around the soccer field with your kids, like you're wearing tight shirts and muscle shirts. You
Yeah.
look fantastic. You feel great. Like, it's just incredible. I'm so proud of you. I'm so incredibly excited, because it's like night and day difference. And you said it best. You said it's part of me now. And that's the real goal of the program. The goal of the program is not to be a workout or a diet plan that you just do for a short period of time, like keto or some fad diet or some crazy thing that you can't maintain. Yes, it's hard in the beginning, but we make it easier and easier as you move on, so that it can become a lifestyle. And the goal is to become a lifestyle, because how we get you there is how you maintain it, right? And it gets easier at time because you get stronger and you get better. And yes, you don't have to track everything constantly all the time forever, but by doing it and investing a lot of time in the beginning, making that shift, making that transformation, and then once it becomes part of your identity, now we've made the shift, and now it becomes easy, because as you mentioned, now you're excited to work out, you look forward to it, and it's part of who you are. And it's no longer just working out to get the result, but working out because it's who I am. And that is a massive, monumental shift, right? It's it's such a huge difference, because it takes you from being just goal and results oriented to now being more process driven. And it's okay to be goal and results oriented, especially in the beginning. We want to strive, we want to achieve things. But once we get to be a process driven person, and now I do it because this is who I am, it's what I do, or I just love doing it, that's the goal. Because I don't work out today trying to get a six pack. Like, that was me 20 years ago. But now I work out because it's who I am. It's what I do. I feel better when I do it. I feel confident. I feel like I can accomplish anything. I can tack my work. I'm better for my wife. I'm a better husband. I'm a better friend. I'm a better coach. That's why I do it. It's who I am. And that's so important. I love that. So anything else that you want to share to anyone out there?
Yeah, I want to say, about the program. By far, the one thing that I got from the program, which I don't think you talk enough about, is the amount of information that we get I mean, I feel like you should give college credits out because the literature, the material, videos that you know, even just FAQs on the diet. I think I learned everything. I'm now an expert in water and how to drink water, to intermittent fasting and supplements. You know, all these questions. You know, there's you know you can't open social media without being, especially if you've ever looked at anything regarding fitness. Now you're being inundated with supplement ads and you know what's right, what's wrong. I mean. Um, Everything was laid out there, and what's most important too is I understand why. Drink your 64 ounces or 32 ounces, whatever, of water, or take this supplement or don't take that supplement. But a lot of it comes with literature as to why, videos as to why. I mean that, and I refer to that stuff daily, and you don't memorize these things, but so I want to say that is another part of the program that was beyond helpful, especially if you're someone who I don't know, I feel like I'm a little analytical and I like to
Yeah.
deep dive, and I want to know, down to the ounce. And yeah, that the material that you get, that you provided, was still helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we want to give you the step by step. We want to tell you exactly what to do, but we also want to share with you why, so we can educate you, because the goal, again, is not just to tell you what to do for a few weeks so you get a result and then you go back to doing what you're doing. The goal is to change yourself forever. Permanent transformation is our goal. Invest once, solve forever. And the way you do that is through education. So what do I do? But why am I doing it? And when you can understand the why behind, now you can make better decisions in the future. If you understand what the goal of intermittent fasting is, be it a caloric deficit, now you know, okay, that's how I leverage that tool. If you know what the supplement is and why you take it, well, now you know if you can take it or should take it or you shouldn't take it. If you understand the why behind the exercise, well, then if you go to a gym and you're traveling or something, you know how to throw together a couple of exercises to get a great workout in. Like, that's the goal, the education to teach you how to train, how to eat, how to think for the rest of your life. And if you do that, well,
and doing it wrong can be dangerous too.
Doing it wrong can be dangerous, because you can either get hurt, you can get injured, or, and this isn't talked about very, very often, but if you're constantly doing the wrong thing or just the same thing, which is not correct, over and over again, you're not going to get any results. So you're working really hard to go nowhere and feeling like you're spinning your wheels. And I just did an interview, another one of these, with my client Lawrence, and Lawrence, another rock star, just crushed it. Before and after is incredible. Got the full 6-pack. He worked out for 6 years, including a year on tonal. And he's like, my body didn't change at all, because he was just basically doing the same stuff, jumping around constantly from one thing to the next, and never dialed in his diet. He ate, quote unquote, healthy, but he didn't know what that meant. So he didn't see any changes. And then all of a sudden we get all the puzzle pieces together. Now he's seeing results, building momentum, and he became a rock star. So
I couldn't agree with you more. That's on the eating healthy part. A couple of things. So I've been vegan for 8 years, and I think a lot of people think vegans might naturally, because they cut out a lot of the mess, end up being either thin or weak or generally healthy, right? These are all, I think, I imagine, preconceived conceptions of what a vegan might be. I was not healthy. I didn't eat very well, even though I didn't eat any animal products, no dairy, no high saturated fat foods, but I was not healthy. I was, and when I started working out, I will, say, you realize you can put on muscle, even if you've got a, weird diet restriction or whatever it might be. I was nervous. I was like, I want to be vegan, for myself. It's just a choice that I've made. But how do I do this the right way? So, and it was helpful. The other thing that I want to say, last, to cap it off, my recent blood pressure readings, great. I've had 2 in a row to the doctors. Blood pressure's great. All blood work, fantastic. I also was dealing with a ton of lower back pain. Even going into the program, I was going in with a ton of lower back pain. I had a hernia. I still have, I don't think they ever really heal, a herniated disc. But I think getting myself in there and working it out. And you were even great with swapping out some certain exercises for things that were a little bit
Yep.
easier. But generally strengthening, and I'm no expert, no doctor, but generally strengthening those muscles around my back, all the stabilizer muscles in my core, I almost have zero back pain. And it's so contradicting. Like I have back pain, well, I shouldn't overstress my back. But I was doing all of the deadlifts and the sumo lifts and everything that you had me do. And um, I, I didn't injure myself further, which is important. I tried to do my best, but zero back pain today. And the only thing I can say did it. I went to chiropractors before. I went to physical therapists before. And the only thing that's different between today and then, knowing that I have an injury like a herniated disc, which I was told would never really heal, it just maybe gets better. The only thing that changed was that I worked out and I got physical. My core got stronger and I'm stable and my posture is better and almost zero back pain today. So
Incredible. A couple things is we do warm-ups to help with posture. You improve your posture. You're strengthening your core. We build the foundation from the get-go. Phase one is all about that core foundational strength. And when you build up those muscles and strengthen them, especially your glutes, lower back, like all those muscles that support and protect your back, then all of a sudden it's like, wow, I don't have back pain. This is incredible. It's because those muscles are finally strong and they're working and they're holding you up and your posture is good. And by strengthening your entire body, now we're able to protect those things. Anytime you go to a physical therapist for a specific injury or issue, what do? They have you do physical things to work through it, right? You're in pain. And what do? They move you, they have you do things, but they also have you strengthen all the muscles around the injury so that it can compensate and take some stress and pain off of that particular area, whether it's a knee or an elbow or a shoulder or a back. And that's what we did. You lost weight. That helps you improve your posture. You do some stretching, mobility, flexibility, and you strengthen. And then we also made some substitutions early on so that we set you up for success. So now your core is strong, you lost weight, you're better, you're stronger. Now let's introduce a deadlift and let's introduce it correctly with proper form and proper weight, and we have success.
Yeah.
Incredible. Sure. Well, JJ, be respectful of your time. We'll wrap it up here, but thank you again, man. I'm so proud of you. I'm so pumped for your progress. This was a fantastic interview. I love all the things we talked about. The notion of being so motivated, but not doing anything still. Wow, that was incredible. I hadn't heard anyone say that before. That was, I think it'd be a game changer for a lot of people re-listening to that part of the interview and just getting all these points of leverage against yourself and then just being like, I burned the boats. I'm in this. There's nowhere to go but forward. And then, as you said, at first it sucks, but you just stumble your way through it. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I'm seeing results. This is working. I'm getting stronger. I'm getting better. And as you said, it's just one workout, one meal, one step at a time. And here you are. So thank you for everything.
Well, I appreciate it very much.